Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mitt, and on this channel I talk about stocks, investing, and finance. And today I had a very special video planned out because it's ultimately important to talk about these things as I document my journey on this channel as an investor and as a creator that talks about stocks and investing and finance, to share with everyone the hard moments of my investing career. It sounds really dramatic the way I'm starting this out because it is really dramatic. It sucks. At the end of the day, it sucks. And the reason I wanted to make this video ultimately is because I do think genuinely whoever watches this video could get some value out of this video and not make the mistakes I did. And that mistake specifically and explicitly refers to selling my Tesla stock way too early. I'm going to do a couple things in this video. First of all, I'm going to talk about what my condition was when I started buying Tesla stock and how dirt cheap I was getting this stock. Second of all, we're going to get into this, the profits and losses. I'm going to share my screen and you guys are going to kind of see when I bought the stock, how much it would have been worth today. And third of all, I'm going to talk about ultimately why this was a horrible, I repeat, horrible investing strategy that I had. And I want to give a little background about why it was horrible and also explain why I don't have any regrets about this strategy, even though I missed out on a lot of money, because it ultimately made me a better investor for who I am today. So first of all, a little bit of background. I started buying Tesla when I was 21 years old. So I started buying Tesla September of 2019, which was May of 2019. That's when I officially bought it. That's when I bought my first share. And again, I will get into the numbers in a second. Just want to give you a little bit of background. Started buying Tesla May of 2019. The reason I started buying Tesla is because obviously I was enamored by Elon Musk. And the moment where I started buying was when the demand, this is when, it's so funny to even talk about this. This is when I first realized how the news affects Wall Street. So in May of 2019, there was some stupid article from some Citi analyst that I think downgraded the stock to like $10 because he said that demand is low, right? Like that was the argument that they were going for. And the stock literally went from like, I don't know, 220 or something, so that's like 170-ish. It dropped a significant amount to the point where I started feeling, as a very elementary investor, that this is ridiculous. This is a really good deal, like $170 for like a big electric car company. Like I thought it made a lot of sense to me. So that's when I started buying. Now, at this time, I was a junior in college going to be a senior. So it was like going into the summer of my senior year. Senior year is where I started buying the most of the stock and making making idiotic decisions in terms of how I approached the stock. And I actually had some disposable income. I had a part-time job. I was working in college, and it was a decent part-time job. Like, I'm just going to say it. I was making around $6,000 a month in college, around from September to December of that time. So in those 4 months of 2019, I had made around $25,000 of just like pure cash that I had the ability to spend. So, at that point I was like, it makes sense to start buying some Tesla. And that's when I started investing. So I had capital. I had very basic elementary knowledge of Tesla and the stock market. What I did not have is conviction, due diligence, and an appetite to understand what it means to hold a stock long term. And that's what I really want people to get out of this video before we get into the numbers, is that you've got to have those three ingredients, especially when you're investing in a high growth tech company. And ultimately, I didn't have any of those three ingredients. So let's get into the numbers. Let's talk about how much I really did lose potentially off, or like how much I could have made if I just held it. And then we're going to talk about ultimately what this means for better investing in these types of stocks. So as you can see on the screen here, we have my Robinhood. This is to show that these buys actually did happen. So our first buy was May 21st, 2019. 2 shares at $197, and that was about $395 that we paid for it. Pretty cheap, right? Not a bad deal at all to get 2 shares of Tesla, which is now valued at about $5,000 pre-split. And this is all pre-split, guys, because I think it's just easier because the prices are already in pre-split. So we're just going to be talking about it in that way. If you wanted to do it split, it would be all these numbers divided by 5. So 197 divided by 5 would be what I had bought it post-split. So then we have 2 shares at 194. This is the second day. And then we have the first idiotic decision, which is a market sell on November 22nd, 2019 at $334. Now, why did I do this? The reason I did this that day is because I was talking to my friend. So I was in a fraternity, and my Biggs grand big. If you've ever been in a fraternity, you know, like you have a big who's kind of like your big brother or whatever, and then he has a big. So my G big, my grandpa big, I was walking with one day. He just came over to visit me at college, and we were talking about stocks, and I was like, yeah, bro, Tesla's up. Like I don't know, I'm profiting like $400. This is awesome. And he told me to sell it. He said, yeah, sell it and then buy back in later, or like sell half of it and take some profit. And I don't know what was wrong with me, but like $400 to me or whatever I was up, it was only a couple $100. I was like, I'm rich. Like $400. This is crazy. I'm rich. And I even asked him, I was like, are you sure I should sell it? Because like, you know, shouldn't I hold it to go longer? And again, I didn't know anything about investing. I just knew that stocks go up over time. So I was like, maybe I should hold it. And he was giving me a very conservative sort of answer. He's like, no, you should definitely sell it. Like you made a pretty awesome gain and you should bank in those profits. In reality, and I still tell him I hate him for this every day. You know, I love him, but I also hate him for this advice because this was ridiculous advice. And I trusted him, right? He's like 4 years older than me. So I trusted what he was saying. I didn't know anything about investing. And he was like, you should take these profits. So what did I do? I go home that day and I take these profits. And I'm like, you know, I was literally on the bus when I sold it because it was rising to like 350. What I sold it at 334, and I was like, this is amazing. I made all this money, not knowing you have to pay taxes on this money as well. The taxes are going to be higher because you're not holding it for a year or longer, which reduces your capital gains tax because that's how the government and the SEC sets up this stuff. And that's how the tax law works. I don't know any of that stuff. I was just like, let me sell it. That was the first idiotic decision. When you get a stock in May, you should not be selling it in November. I don't care if this was like $3,000. Like it just doesn't make any sense, especially if it's not some meme, right? If it's not like a cryptocurrency where you should get in, get out because you have no idea what's going to happen. If you really invested because you knew the fundamentals of Tesla and I understood what this was really becoming, I mean, it should not have been a sell. So then we have a market buy on January 5th. This got canceled. Then it started running, right? So Tesla got to 945, and I got really pissed off because I sold my stock at 334, as we can see here. So at that point, I bought 5 shares. I put $5,000, about 4,700, and I was like, let me buy it. I remember exactly where I was. I was at the gym, and I was working out, and I literally just opened up Robinhood, and I was like, screw it. I'm just buying it right now because I thought it was going to go to like 1,500 or something. Then we get the COVID pandemic, right? So we're in March 19th, 2020. I actually didn't mean to sell this stock at 408. I meant to buy it. I just pressed sell by accident. So then I buy 2 shares, 1 share for the share that I sold, and then 1 additional share for $409. So I basically bought 1 share for $409 because the other one I bought was just to correct the mistake that I made. And I was like, wow, $400. Now I was also very deep in the red, right? Because it went from 900 to 400 and I had bought 5 shares. So I was really feeling bad during that time. Like I really felt like I was an idiot as an investor. So I thought maybe I should lower my cost average, which is why I bought 1 more share. Then the price goes from 400 to 948. So I literally make back everything that I had lost. And I feel like another idiot because I was like, why didn't I buy more when it was dipping? Like I should have just bought so much more. I remember that time. This is from March to June. That's when Tesla was going ridiculous in 2020. And I felt like an idiot again for not buying when it was low. And the sort of message here is like, you can't feel like an idiot if you know what you own. And the problem is I never knew what I owned. I was just always buying it off hype. I didn't understand Tesla. I was just buying it because it was up and down. I was losing some money. I want to reduce my cost, blah, blah, blah. Like I didn't understand it. And once you don't understand it, you start feeling these weird psychological emotions, which is to me like 60-70% of investing is just managing your own emotions when you're owning these assets and then trying to understand how to navigate them. So I sell that and I had 6 shares. So I sell another one at 997. So I pretty much broke even on that. Then we get to the roughest moment of my life as a former Tesla investor. I say former because I'm not back into the stock because I don't think I can justify it to myself yet to get back in. But eventually I probably will, but we'll see. I bought 8 shares of Tesla at $1,640.89. Now, 9 shares because I bought another one at $1,646. Now, why did I do this? You can probably already see above that I sold it for a loss. So we're going to get in there in a second. You're probably already mad. Like, what? Why'd you sell it for a loss? I bought it because this was a couple days before the rumors were coming out that Tesla was going to enter the S&P 500. And I had watched some videos and they were like, okay, if this happens, Tesla's going to go to like 2,500. It's going to absolutely explode if it gets into the S&P 500. Again, this was idiotic. You should not make investment advices. You should not make an investment decision over YouTube videos or people or articles that are coming out. Even my videos. I have a heavy position in Palantir right now. That's the stock that I'm really into. That's the stock and the company that I really believe in. I really encourage people to not make decisions based on the videos I put out. And I try not to say buy the stock in my videos. I try to just give really good quality analysis and analyze the stock, not quote unquote pump the stock. So what I was reading at the time, the media that I was consuming, and you have to be very conscious about the content taken that you ultimately take in when you're an investor, was that, oh, this thing is going to go to the moon as soon as it gets invested in the S&P, let me buy it. And then I made an idiotic decision to spend around, what is this, 13,000, let's add this real quick, 13,000 plus 604, 13,127 plus 1646, about 15,000 bucks on Tesla stock. Then it starts dropping massively, right? And I get scared. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to lose all my money because Tesla's dropping again, like an absolute idiot. I bought it on July 20th. On July 23rd, 3 days later, I sell all 9 of the shares that I bought for $13,402, meaning I ultimately lost $1,371. Again, why did I do this? Why would you sell all the stock 3 days later after buying it just because it didn't explode from going into the S&P 500? And I think they either did or didn't get accepted, whatever. Some news came out and it didn't explode. It started going lower. Immediately, the reason this happened is because I only put 15 grand into the company that day because I had the perception that they were going to go to the moon after getting into the S&P 500. And because that didn't happen, I realized that I should sell the stock because I didn't want it to like go down forever. And I was so scared that, oh, what if this goes back to 1,000 and then I'm going to lose like 4,000 bucks? And I got super, super scared. That is a horrible mentality you have when you're investing, right? I only made the investment decision because of hype. And then I ended up, because of the lack of conviction, selling the investment because of hype and because of not really knowing what I invested in, which ultimately led to me losing $1,300 and really just having a really bad summer in that July. I felt horrible at that point when that decision happened. Okay, so let's take a look into the Google Sheet now to see the losses and gains that I could have had. Rest in peace is Tesla is the name of the sheet because that's what it is. So let's look at some of the first purchases around May 2019, $197 to $194. I sold it at about $334, made a profit of around $136 for 4 stocks. So around $600 there. Then we have our February 2020 purchases, bought $945 worth of it, sold them at $948, made about $15, 5 times $3. Not a lot of money, but doing this for $3, right? Because that's what investing is for. That's the mentality I was in. Then I bought it at $409, sold at $409, 18 cents there. July 2020, that's when some of the big stuff happened. Bought about $15,000 worth of it at $16.40. I thought it was getting into the S&P 500. I was super excited. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get rich because it's going to like explode. And then I ended up selling it for a loss at $14.89, lost $151 per, which is about $13.70 in total. And then I bought 2 random shares for $628, sold them for $628, and I still lost 16 cents on that because, why not? So overall, from May 19 to about March 2021, I spent $21,000 into Tesla. Ended up losing $800 in total, $805. And this is the sheet that matters, or the column that matters. Current price as of December 8th, 2021 is $5,285 pre-split. So you take the current price times 5 because they did a 5-for-1 stock split, which means my missed gains from May 2019 up until December 2021, which is where we currently are, as we go down this sheet, comes down to $110,000 in total, which means these are the missed gains. And in these missed gains, the total, as you can see, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. This was when I got it really cheap. Then 4,000. Then we're at 3,000. Even, that's still amazing, even though, it's getting cheaper than $5,000. And then ultimately at the end, $89,000 is what I could have made if I had just not sold my Tesla. I would have put in 20,000, got back 110. So pretty much 4.2x my return, 400% in a matter of a year and a half. Not bad for a first-time investor if I had just invested and kept my money in, and I would have had 90 grand in cash right now. So what is the takeaway from all of this? Really, there's a couple things that I wanted to be the takeaway. Number one, when you're investing in a stock, you should have high conviction about it. I don't care what the stock is. And, this is my advice coming from my personal experience, and $90,000 worth of potential gains is the personal experience I'm talking about right now. If you are investing in a stock, I genuinely believe if you're not day trading, you should have some level of conviction in it. So for example, I've wanted to invest in like SoFi for a little bit. But then I started reminding myself, like, why do I want to invest in SoFi? And it's really because I've been seeing the hype around SoFi, right? Like I've been seeing their name everywhere. I'm like, oh, this is like a cool stock. But I know nothing about SoFi. Like I literally know nothing about SoFi. I know nothing about that stock. If you know about the stock, feel free to comment it as much as you want below and tell me why I should get into it or what videos I should watch. But even at $15, it seems attractive right now, especially because it came down from like 28, right? So it seems like, oh, this is a good buy, but I know nothing about the company. So why would I buy it? And that's why I'm long right now on Palantir. I make a lot of videos on Palantir. I cover the company a lot because I understand the company and I want to take my bets in a place where I understand. For Tesla, you'd think I understand it, but I didn't really understand it. And I think this is really important for a lot of investors. People think they understand a stock, but they don't understand the stock. They don't understand anything about the stock. They may know a little bit about the stock, and your true conviction is tested when the stock starts falling, when the stock starts rallying in certain moments, and you start selling for measly profits. Like that's when you become an inadequate investor from a retail perspective to even have a chance to go against the big guys, because not only are they beating you on the stuff they know, they're beating you on their hedging strategies, which means all you can have, if you're not hedging all day and doing all this stuff, right, and you're just like putting money in to try to make some level of return in the market, is your conviction at the end of the day and your lack of emotions not making you make stupid, idiotic decisions like the ones that I made. So I think it's very important that if you invest in a company to have conviction about that company. Number two is recognize if you're investing in a high growth tech company, what high growth tech means. High growth tech means that sometimes it might be overvalued. Sometimes Wall Street might not like it. Sometimes you're going to hear a bunch of random people publish horrible articles. And I heard some crazy articles about Tesla that also made me want to sell. Sometimes you're not going to get, when it goes from 300 to 900, how exponential that is and why that's exponential and why that means you should hold it, not take that stupid $600 profit, especially when there's more room to go, and especially if you don't really need the money at that moment. And also recognize that you should be buying when it's going lower, because a high growth tech company means that people aren't going to get it, which means the prices is going to fluctuate. So if it goes down, like Palantir has gone from like 29 to 18 this week, I'm buying because I'm like, oh, wait a second. This is ridiculous. This company is going to be an extremely important software company in the next 10 years. Why wouldn't I get it at the cheapest price? Just because Wall Street doesn't get it? Well, screw them. I understand what I'm investing in. And if I don't, then I don't. And like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be wrong about me knowing enough about the company to make the investment. I might be wrong about the investment, but I'm not wrong about the level of due diligence and reassurance I've done to affirm my conviction in the company. And that's what matters at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, you win some, you lose some when it comes to actual profits and losses, but the process by which you become an effective and meaningful investor. And again, this is from my experience. I'm not Warren Buffett or anything. This is just from how I'm interpreting and understanding the investment world, is that you got to go through this process knowing what you're doing, having conviction in what you're doing, and feeling like you are correct even if you are wrong. Because that will build up the confidence over the next 30, 40, 50 years, as long as you are an investor, for you to then make a decision and believe in that decision. And some of them you will get wrong, but some of them you will get right. And the only way you're going to get any that get right, which will hopefully make up for the ones that you get wrong, is having a level of conviction in the stock. Otherwise, you know, I mean, this is about high growth in particular. If you're not going to play in that game, then just go to the S&P, get some index funds and stay there the rest of your life, right? And you could do that. It's just kind of boring, right? Like $90,000 would not have been made in the S&P during that time. So it would have been made in a company that goes exponential. And it hurts me to this day that I just didn't keep my money there, because that would have been a lot of cash that I could have just held on to, right? But that's not what I did, because of these types of decisions and because of this type of mentality. So I think it's really important to understand that. Now, final thing I'll say here is that hindsight is always 20/20. Would I have eventually sold before I made those $90,000? Sure. If I was up $50,000, $60,000, maybe I would have sold. But that's also what I want to kind of critique here, is that like if you know you're in it for the long term, and you know Tesla's at 1.2 trillion market cap today, and it probably has a long way to go to get even higher, just given the nature of the company, you should also really think about if you should sell, right? So like in this example, would I have sold if I was up 60,000? I don't know, man, probably. Given the elementary level of being an investor that I am, I probably would have taken those profits. And I don't think that would have been the right decision, given Tesla had even further to go, and it has even further to go right now. So maybe some profits are okay when you're really in this for the long haul and you don't need the money. But I think one of the things to think about is that it does take a long time to appreciate, and the longer you wait, the better chance you have of just ultimately collecting that money at a lower tax rate as well. So if I had just waited, 90,000 bucks would have been mine. And I think it's really important to see these types of potential gains. And ultimately, the reason I think this is making me a better investor is because now, for example, one of the companies that I'm in is that goes to Palantir. Like if it goes to 50 bucks and I double my money because my average is like 24, I really don't think I'm going to sell, right? Like it doesn't make sense to me. I'm thinking of having a core position of like, I don't know, 300-400 shares that I sell when it gets to 50, and then having a full long position of about 2,000-3,000 shares that I just don't sell for the next 10 years. But the reason for that is because I'm seeing the gains I could have got off of something, of just having patience and understanding the core fundamentals of your company at the intersection of why it is a high growth tech company and what ultimately it can become, which is a monopoly within an industry, be first in class, i.e. Tesla, the way I kind of feel about Palantir right now. And ultimately, I need to understand how to ride that out. And I think, if anything, this experience has led me to understand how to ride things out in a much better way, especially with all the companies that I'm invested in, and how to do proper due diligence and truly have conviction around these companies so that you let it ride out. It's always okay to take some profits, but it's also okay to recognize that if you're going to put in this money and you really don't need it, then you should see it later. And you should see it later when it comes back to you and you can go and like buy a house or something with that money versus get 16 cents off selling a Tesla share or $1. It just doesn't make any sense. So ultimately, that was my video, and that was my life lessons on selling Tesla too early. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, feel free to check out some of the other content. I try to cover stocks, investing, and finance the best way that I can in my own unique way, try to give the best analysis that I can. We cover Palantir on this channel a lot because I have a pretty big position in it. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know how much you have made on Tesla. Are you still in Tesla? Are you a Tesla shareholder? How long have you invested in Tesla? I read all the comments. Looking forward to answering all of them and responding to all of them. And yeah, I'm Amit. This is the Daily Business Show. Could have made $90,000, but that's okay because it only makes me a better investor in the long run. I'll see you on the next one.